The objective of Mars 445 is to be the first mission director to score 150 points. And to score points, you need to complete modules, but beware, you can be sabotaged. In the game setup, you're going to deal 15 cards face down, which will be your backordered supplies, and you will have 3 face-up cards side by side. These are your warehouse shelves. This is where parts can be stored and used for constructing modules. The remaining cards in your hand are your on-hand supplies, and these will be used to flip over the top 3 cards to create your play cards. The space in between all the players is called the factory floor. This is where modules get built and is empty at the start of the game. Now, each round starts when all the players are set up and one of the players says go. To be played on the factory floor, a card can either be a 1, which will start a new module, or it can be placed on an existing module if the card being played is the same unit type and 1 number higher. It's important to note that modules are public and anybody can play a card on a module. From your on-hand supplies, flip 3 cards face up as a group. This group is considered your play cards, and the top face-up card in the pile can be played either by placing it on your warehouse shelves or on the factory floor. In the event a warehouse shelf is empty, you can use the top card from your backordered supplies to fill it. When a module is completed by a launch card, the mission director who played the launch card will remove that module and add it to their colony. It's also important to note, all players will be doing all of these moves simultaneously. If you can't play your face-up play card, flip 3 more cards face-up from your on-hand supplies onto the top of the face-up pile. If at any point there are fewer than 3 cards in your on-hand supplies, just flip the remaining cards face-up. When you can no longer play from your face-up pile, turn the play cards over, and they become your on-hand supplies. A card can be added to the warehouse shelf if the card is being placed on a different unit symbol and 1 number lower. If a warehouse shelf is empty, you can also fill it using a launch card from your face-up play cards. Play continues until one player calls launch, and this will end the round. To call launch, a player must have a colony made up of these completed modules: 3 power modules, 2 science modules, 1 resource module, and 1 exploration module. And if you call launch early, there are consequences. But we'll get to that in scoring. Before we get to scoring, some important notes. In the event no one can play a card, everyone will flip a card from their backordered supplies and create a 4th warehouse shelf. This new shelf is available for the rest of the round. If a player has no cards left in their backordered supplies, they will use the top card from their face-up play cards. Another note, if a player has a completed colony, they do not have to call launch. Players can continue to play and amass points. However, calling launch will gain a player a small bonus. And finally, if a player calls launch and they don't have the completed colony, they automatically lose 10 points. Now, on to scoring. Each player will collect the leftover cards in their backordered supplies, warehouse shelves, on-hand supplies, and face-up cards into one pile and set them aside. These are not used for scoring. And collect the unfinished units from the factory floor into one pile and set that pile to the side, waiting to be separated. This pile is called the wasted supplies. Each player then collects their completed units from their colony. Players will then separate the launch cards, placing the rest of the cards to the side. These cards are your colony cards. Add up the face value of all your launch cards to determine your colony score. Add these points to your game score, and then separate the remaining colony cards by deck and count who has the most cards in your colony. Now, have you been sabotaged? If you have the most cards in your colony, or you're tied for the most, you're safe. You get to keep all your points. If any other player has more cards than you in your colony, then you've been sabotaged. For each player who sabotages your colony, subtract 10 points from your total and award those points to the sabotaging player. However, if you contributed no cards to your colony, you have not been sabotaged. You have shot the Phobos. Your colony scores doubled for this round. If you called launch to end the round and you had the required units to complete your colony, you gain a bonus 5 points. And now we have the wasted supplies. Turn the cards over and separate them by deck. The player who has the most cards in the wasted supplies loses 5 points. If there's a tie, each tied player receives the 5-point penalty. So to get a player's final score in a round, you're going to take their colony points, plus or minus any sabotage points, add or subtract for launch and waste, and you will get their final score for that round. First player to 150 points will be the winner. If more than one player reaches 150 points in the same turn, whoever has the most will win. If there's a tie after that, play another round, and whoever has the most after that round will be the winner. And that's all you need to play Mars 445. Now you just have to figure out the strategy. Enjoy.